Get this figure and more at the Big Bad Toy Store. Links in the description. Hey, my name is Jobby, and today we're taking a look at the Action Toys Machine Robo DX Bike Robo, which is not as cool of a name as goddamn Cycle! Get it? Because he's a motor cycle, and he presumably kills? The only thing being killed right now is my soul. It's a shame that this awesomely stupid name belongs to such a goofy design, which in turn comes from the goofiest of the goofs, the GoBots. Well, technically, Bike Robo is from a Japanese toy line called Machine Robo, but because my demographics say America is the center of the world, we'll be talking more about the GoBots, which was the Western import of Machine Robo. And for those of you who don't know, the GoBots were basically the Transformers. Except nobody likes them. Now, I'm not gonna pretend I grew up with the GoBots because I didn't. But who the hell did? Back in the 80s, the GoBots were pretty much the main competition for Transformers. In the competition between Hasbro's Transformers and Tonka's GoBots, the GoBots obviously lost, fading into obscurity with only a select few to mourn it. And not only did they lose, they were assimilated. Hasbro bought out Tonka and in effect bought out the GoBots brand, but only the worst parts of it, like the character names and the mythology. Now, Hasbro doesn't own the actual toy rights to the GoBots because the original toy designs were licensed from Bandai, which is a direct competitor to Takara Tomy, who distributes Transformers toys overseas, and insert something dumb here so the 12 girls don't get bored. Cut to the present day, and a toy company by the name of Action Toys decided to bring back what so many people were clamoring for: modernized GoBots. I mean Machine Robo toys, don't worry, I won't tell. Long story short, the GoBots don't matter, and oh my god, there's a toy here. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is awesome. At least, as awesome as it could be for such a stupid design. What baffles me to no end is why the heck did Tonka decide to make this design their main villain? That's right, Zykill was the GoBots equivalent of Megatron, and he was the dastardly leader of the Decepticons. I mean Renegade. This guy does not feel like a villain at all. He's an Optimus Prime colored bike with goofy noodle arms and a nipple for a head. Definitely not worthy of the name Zykill. But putting all that aside, the figure in front of me looks great. It looks good, feels good, tastes good. Tastes like blood a little bit. But that's because a lot of the figure is made out of, actually, I don't know if there's any die-cast metal in here. My cold touch technique doesn't seem to be acting up, but he's got a nice weight to him, that's for sure. Maybe I just have to get a little bit close. This is literally the complete opposite of the last figure I reviewed. And if you haven't watched that video yet, please do. And to top it all off, all of the paint, which is the majority of the figure, is pretty durable, which means you could be reasonably rough with it without chipping it to high heaven. Why the f did I do that? And on the topic of Megatron, you would not be able to tell that this was supposed to be the GoBots equivalent by looking at his handsome face. Not gonna lie, I would. Because show accuracy just wasn't a thing back in the 80s. The GoBots cartoon completely redesigned his face to make him look more villainous. And Action Toys included some alternate faces to reflect this. But the faces don't simply plug in, no. They're actually magnets. These wheels are also connected by magnets, but that's for the transformation. So you get a neutral face, a growling face, and a shit-eating grin. They all look great. I mean, the Bike Robo face is attractive in the sort of vapid supermodel way, but the Zykill faces have so much personality that I can't help but leave them on here all the time. That is, until you transform them. We'll get to that later. You also get a few more accessories. You get two beautifully sculpted effect parts, which, if you remove his hand, you can plug right into here, and that replicates the GoBots' primary form of attacking: energy beams. Apparently, the GoBots didn't have the cojones to carry actual weapons. However, these effect parts managed to make fist beams look really cool. And you also get this cute-looking briefcase with limbs. And for some reason, you can attach any of the faceplates to it. I have to assume this is a GoBots thing as opposed to a Machine Robo thing, because anime has too much class to resort to this childish humor. And the rest of his accessories are there for the transformation. Yeah, this guy is kind of a parts farmer. It's not the end of the world, though. Keep it in my pants. But how could I possibly keep it in my pants when there's so much? Ball joint at the head, not much up and down movement. Rotation at the arm moves out. Bicep swivel, that's pretty dang tight. Double bend at the elbow, swivel here. Hinge joint at the index finger, and a hinge joint at the rest of his fingers. Way swivel. A ridiculous ab crunch. Front skirt moves up, got a high kick, and if you move this butt flap out the way, it can move back that far. Beautiful spread. Ooh, that's tight. Swivel here, bend at the knee. The foot moves up, can move side to side, and you get a pivot. But if we flip this panel up, an even greater pivot. Posability on this guy is fantastic, and most importantly, it's actually fun to pose due to the tight joints and the solid construction. Such a relief after I was systematically But last time, this figure will never stop haunting me. Let's do some size comparisons. Here's Figma Motic Academy, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and his superior villainous counterpart, the Masterpiece Megatron. Here's a little fun fact. Frank Welker, the voice actor for Megatron, ended up voicing Psykill in a Robot Chicken skit. Poetic justice, I suppose. So as goofy and silly and stupid as this design looks, the figure itself is such a joy to handle. Bars. And here we have the bike mode. And I gotta be honest, this is the worst looking bike I've ever seen, but the painting and the sculpting is still awesome. The design of the bike itself is terrible, but in a charming 80s kind of way. It's cute. I also appreciate the mechanical detail that gets revealed. The chrome paint on some parts really stands out in this mode. And I only say the design is terrible because it's so obviously the robot mode doing a funny pose. But hey, at least it's show accurate. I will say that this mode feels so much better than it looks. I mean, the wheels feel like actual rubber. It's great. Everything fits together so nicely. Not to mention the transformation is actually fun to do. It's simple, but satisfying. And the parts forming doesn't bother me too much. Except the hands. I mean, there had to be some other way to do this. Come on. Just try not to lose the extra parts. Put them in your pocket, I don't know. The bike rolls pretty good, and fortunately it has a built-in kickstand. The only thing that I can say kind of bothers me is that these robot mode shoulders don't snap in into any position, and that could get kind of annoying, and I'm just really stretching for things to say at this point. Size comparisons. Motic Godzilla Prime and Megatron. You know, after last time, I really have no trouble transforming this thing consistently. Thanks, I guess. Overall, this figure's awesome. I really like this thing. And I don't even give a Bold Forms Gladius about the GoBots or Machine Robo. It's one of those figures where you really have to put in your hands to understand why it's fantastic. The photos and even this video don't do it justice. It feels way better than it looks. So I gotta give the biggest props to Liu Kei, the beautiful boy who designed this figure, and he was also the one who offered to give this figure to me for free. I'll be looking forward to Action Toys' future Machine Robo releases, but in the meantime, why don't you check out the rest of their stuff at the Big Bad Toy Store? They've already done quite a few Machine Robo figures, and they're not so badly priced either. And of course, you can get this figure for cheap. That's fair.